Hi, welcome to my political show, Kavindu Political Times. Today is the last episode of season 1 of the show. The fifth episode means the last episode. Today on the show we're going to talk about a very important judgmental question that will define our lives and define the lives of the future as well. A question that's been bothering me, something that I have to accept as time goes along. My opinions have now significantly have changed, and whether the question is whether you guys agree me or not depends on how do you guys feel on the comment section. Put your opinion about what I talk about in the comment section. Now let's talk about the big. Before start the show, hit the like button and subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon. Now let's start the show. Today on the show our topic is this: is Joe Biden the right president the United States need right now in this stage, or can Donald Trump still change? Now I know there are many Trump supporters and they might say, wait a minute, isn't he changed? Isn't he extremely presidential? My answer for you is this: he might be presidential, but he makes all the mistakes that bad presidents make at the moment. It's almost like if we are going back in history. I mean, like the Spanish flu. In the Spanish flu, people didn't wear masks until the bitter end. And people started dying. We had parades and etc. in the Spanish flu. And the outcome? Millions of people died. And when they finally learned to do masks, they finally thought the problem was sorted. And now in 2020, nearly 100 or more years later, we are doing the same mistakes that we made during the Spanish flu. And unlike the Spanish flu timeline, the United States plays a major part for the international community. They hold major trade barriers, trade deals, financial benefits. So the United States is a country that needs to stay open and stay protected. That's the bitter reality. Now I have to say President Trump's presidency has not been bad at all until right now. I can tell you his presidency has been fairly fine until the moments of Black Lives Matter movement came along. I honestly thought his economy was the finest economy the US economy ever had. Honestly, I believe in that. I would compare the US economy status before the COVID-19 pandemic to the 90s. Financial was fairly strong, and I can tell you President Trump should be applauded for his handling of his economical strength, of his economical strengths. But the reality is, money doesn't solve everything. There are many more layers to a thing. What do we expect from a leader who leads our country? To set an example? Look, it's very hard to set an example for ourselves when the President of the United States doesn't wear a mask for a very, very long time. I mean, why should we wear a mask if the President doesn't wear a mask, right? He's the leader of our people. He's the leader. He should inspire us. But there are many other ways he did inspire. But I guess what's more important right now is the COVID-19 pandemic. We are not playing with financial, we are playing with people's lives. And we are talking about future of people and innocent children who's dying on the disease because we simply don't wear a mask. When other countries wear masks around the world and doing testing to make sure it's being checked, let me give you a rough idea. Country like India is very big. I'm talking billions of people. I'm talking billions and billions. In a country like that, they have major sense of care towards the pandemic. They have forced them to wear masks and all that later. I mean, the reality is that the United States ever so becoming unpatriotic towards masks. Doesn't make sense. Now you might think where the Joe Biden part comes in. Now at this moment I believe that Joe Biden is the president that the United States required in this stage, United States needs. Why? He's certainly presidential, he wears masks, he works on medical terms. He certainly does the purpose, what a president needs to do. But the thing is, some people in the United States have forgotten what it's like to have a presidential president, as we have the unconventional presidency of President Trump. Now I have to say I was a big fan of his unconventional presidency. I often said I love to see an outsider being the president of the United States, to see what it is like to see an outsider becoming a president without all the political connections and the lingerings, all the political careers of the past coming along. But in 2020, you ask yourself the question, did the experiment for an unconventional president work or not? But it's not my point to judge and say whether he's wrong or I am right. because it's the people who vote must decide that they are wrong or whether the thing was a good decision or not. Because it's not my decision to make, certainly it's not my decision to make, but I can tell you what I feel. Now, of course, Joe Biden has shown great resistance when it comes to the healthcare system. He has often talked about how should people wear masks and etc. and how he has chosen a strong female vice president as his candidate for the VP candidacy, Pamela Harris. It's always a big strong moment. It just shows you something about it. Joe Biden has certainly shown that an old person can learn new tricks, or in a simple language, an old dog can learn new tricks. It's no problem. Many people thought Joe Biden will go in a simple way, really. It would be fairly simple. I mean, he might bring another person of his own type, go on the election, etc. But he certainly brought a twist by bringing someone like 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 the female vice president. If he wins, it will be a historical moment for the United States indeed. We talk about these things so many times. Hollywood culture talks about female vice presidents, female etc. and etc. But the problem is, have we in real life achieved these things? Or is it possible to achieve these things? That is a question to be seen. Now, President Trump so far have managed to be very good. Let me put it this way. President Trump had a presidency of two halves. When he took power, he kept the economical growth stable and he kept the economical up in the top of the mark. People are living well and the money was flowing. Everything is fine. But the Black Lives Movement certainly changed the game, where it tested his ability of working with others' policy. Sometimes your personal opinion doesn't always work. When you are a president or a vice president, you must think a little bit more rationally. You might not like what they do, but unfortunately you have to, because you are running a country that's built based on immigration and many more things. That's what United States is built on. It's not built on nationalism. And we have to understand many people in the United States were immigrants from the British and to many more. So United States have slowly started to forget about the past. But again, you can't blame him. That's his opinion. I'm not against his opinion. Every human being has a total opinion to have his core strength. Now, certainly the Black Lives Movement have shown us that they are not slowing down. Now, we might think they have slowed down. It might take one more thing to bring them out again. Do I personally like how they do things? I don't. I don't appreciate breaking buildings and firing things on. I believe violence is not the solution for everything. I mean, it's not. But if violence is how it's been going, then what can be done? Unfortunately, world politics is built around violence. As human beings, we often choose violence as a way of coping with these things rather than an actual solution. But of course, who am I to judge that, isn't it? Of course, in the Western world, infamously, violence was, let me give you an idea. In the pre-times of the time, where the kings and the queens, wars were fought. Sword, especially in Scotland, kings fought with the sword. No king was safe. An infamous story, Macbeth and all that and stories, you know what I mean. But now we are living in a world where we are far mature, we have computers, we are intelligent, we have the internet, we have the YouTube, we have social networks, we communicate with people, all cultures living together. And yet have we understand the value of all cultures living together remains to be seen. President Joe Biden certainly seemed to understand that. President Trump, I guess, knows that, but I guess he can't admit that because of his supporters, doesn't quite support that policy. But I ask President Trump one request. President Trump, I believe that you still can change this country for the betterment. I believe you are a very good president. Don't play for the base, because if you play for the base will get you down eventually. It's infamous. It's infamous what happened with H.W. Bush. Imagine what happened to H.W. Bush in his election terms, right? When he was competing against Bill Clinton, the game was entirely different. It was like old versus young. Bill Clinton playing the saxophone. Youngster versus H.W. Bush, VP under Ronald Reagan. I mean, think about it. H.W. Bush had a strong base to win. He had the Bush name. He had Reagan. What more you want to win an election, right? Unfortunately, he was a part of a administration that was memorable moments, the Berlin Wall and etc. It didn't technically matter for H.W. Bush's defeat because Because of him, the United States further fell into economic problems. Despite recoveries or timed recoveries, people certainly suffered the brunt. President Trump have to understand two things. Does he want to be part of a legacy that recognizes him for the man who brought down the economy, or does he want to be the man who does the right thing and be one of the prime heroes of the United States? That will be up to him to decide, and it's not my point to decide anything, because I am not him, I am not anyone. I am just a critic who says what I say, but the right decision is in your hands. Voters must decide what your opinion is. That's how I see it. Now, of course, I'm going to end the video in the next 2 minutes, but before that, my final quote I want to say. Black Lives Matter movement is on top of racism. My final quote is about racism, as always. We live in a world that increasingly multicultural world. African Americans marry white people. White people marry African Americans. African Americans marry Asian people. So I ask a question. Love is not stopped by racism. And if love can go through, why can't we live all together in one community? Why can't we support each of other cultures and live through? That's the only hope I have. If we can do that, I guess the world will be a safer place, less problems and less circumstances. Thank you very much for joining my show. Join me on the season 2 of my political show and join. And I have to thank my crew, Kumudini Gunratna and Damit Gunratna for my show, for my crew. Thank you very much. And I